All right, welcome back to another episode here with McHugh Insurance Group. Today's topic is going to sound extremely boring, and I can assure you it is, but it is of the utmost importance. And what I want to discuss is your annual insurance reviews for businesses. So if you run a business or if you handle the insurance for a business, what we're going to discuss today is the annual review and what that should look like, how to make sure you get the most out of it. And if you're sitting there watching this and saying, what the hell is an annual review? I've never had one of those. Well, then you should really stay tuned and see what we're going to discuss today, because as boring as it is so crucial in your year-to-year insurance experience to make sure that you're getting what you paid for and make sure that your insurance program is keeping up with what you currently need as your business progressively changes over time. So before I get into what this meeting should look like and how it should go, let me tell you what it's not, because a lot of people have a misunderstanding and saying, oh, well, I sit down with my agent once a year, or we golf once a year, or we have lunch once a year, or he brings us stuff by Christmas and just says, hey, anything you need from me. That is not an annual insurance review. As accustomed as business owners have become to that being it, I can assure you that that is not at all like what we're going to discuss today and what you should expect from your agent. And to preface all this, let me just tell you this. Your insurance agents get paid a percentage of your commission or a percentage of your premiums every year. So think about it from the perspective of a percent, anywhere from 10, 15, whatever it is, of your premium every year is going directly to your agent. This is one of the only ways that they can really earn your business and earn that commission. And if they're not doing this, then by all means, you should find an agent that's willing to. Otherwise, why don't you just go direct to the carrier and save money on your insurance? Okay? So now that we know what your annual insurance review isn't, it's, in short, let's talk about what it is. It's an opportunity for your agent to do three things. Number one, to learn about any changes in your business since you last sat down, typically since your last renewal. Number two, it's a chance for them to educate you on any adjustments that may need to be made to your business insurance program or your risk management approach. And number three, it is the best and only opportunity that they have to fully prepare for your upcoming renewal. And that is so important when it comes to these annual reviews, because how many times do businesses get an 11th hour renewal with a week to review it, and there's changes, the premiums changed significantly, coverages have changed, whatever it may be, and they don't have any time. And all of that is because there was no expectation, no agreement up front at their annual review for them to say, hey, here's what you can expect at renewal. Okay? So some of the details around these annual insurance reviews. Number one, I want to discuss the timing, because it's very important to know when these should be done so that they can be done most effectively. If they're done too early, it may not have allowed enough time to pass since you last sat down, and there may not be any changes. It may not be as productive of a meeting if you do it 3-4 months after you last spoke to somebody. On the other hand, and more importantly, if it's done too late, there may be changes to the business that may have been missed, that needed to be covered, and in the event that something doesn't get picked up there, could lead to uncovered claims. It could lead to big issues within your program. Or if you have had a year of tremendous growth, your sales and payroll are up, then you may be staring down the barrel at a big audit. Again, something that can get caught up on during the annual review. My recommendation is typically to do these anywhere from 7 to 9 months after the last renewal, 3 to 5 months before the next renewal. Gives enough time to pass to make sure that, we're not just doing the same work we did a few months ago, and also allows enough time to prepare for the renewal as it approaches. Now, as far as preparing for your annual insurance review, the majority of this work should be done on your agent's behalf. They should be putting together a summary of your current policies, a summary of your exposures and I give you an idea of exactly what is going to be covered, what's not going to be covered, and any other discussion points. But some things to think about on your end as the business owner. Number one is going to just be any general business changes. If you've started doing a new kind of work, if you've let employees go, if you're growing, if you're downsizing, keeping in mind the things that your insurance is being rated on. Have you made adjustments to your building? Have you made adjustments to your property that are going to lead to necessary changes within your insurance program? So a couple of the things that I ask my clients to be prepared with. One is your payroll projections for your policy period so that we know how your workers' comp and sometimes your general liability rating is matching up within the policy versus the actual numbers to avoid any audit issues. On the same hand, any revenue projections for the policy period to make sure that we're on track with how the policy is being rated. Those are kind of the two black and white figures to have prepared to make sure that you're well educated enough to have a discussion with your agent about where you're at currently. And from a prep standpoint, the last thing I would say is prepare to cut out the necessary amount of time. And that depends on where you're at with your business and your business insurance. For some folks, these meetings take a half an hour. For some folks, they take 2.5 hours. It all depends on the complexity of their program and how in-depth the changes may be and what needs to be discussed. Okay? So now, for the nuts and bolts of the meeting, what should the execution of the meeting look like? Number one, when the meeting starts, just like all good meetings, it should start with some sort of back and forth about general business. How are things going? What's new? What's changed? Not in the way of, hey, these are pleasantries and we're just catching up BSing, but in the way of, hey, your agent should be saying, hey, fill me in on what's been going on since we last sat down. How are your employees doing? How are things going with your work? Any issues that have been coming up? Anything that on top of your mind as a business owner that you'd like to discuss today as it relates to your insurance? And even if there are things that you don't think relate to your insurance, if there are changes within your business, I want to know about them as your agent so that if there is something that you're not thinking about, I can make recommendations or we can go from there. The next piece, and this is the bulk of the meeting, is a review of your current policy. Not line by line, not going through a 300-page policy, but going through whether it be the proposal or a summary that your agent has put together to say, hey, here's what you currently have. These are the vehicles you have. These are the employees you have. These are your drivers. This is your payroll. These are the coverages you have specific to your business. And more importantly, these are the coverages you don't have as it relates to your business and some potential gaps in coverage that you should consider. Going through, discussing your limits, seeing what it may be that you want to discuss or that you may feel you have a bigger or less exposure to, that you can maybe adjust things accordingly. Insurance agents should be doing this if for no reason other than the fact that they just need to CYA and make sure they don't miss anything. But like I said, this is the most value they can bring to you as a client on a year-to-year basis because it gives them a chance to make sure your insurance policy is tailored to your exact needs. Once you've gone through and discussed your policy, the next discussion should be about any recommendations that your agent has regarding your policy, regarding your risk management, any adjustments they think would be recommended on their behalf. For example, one of the things that small businesses don't think is going to be an issue and impact them is what is going on in the world from a cyber liability perspective. Hackers, people who are getting personal information, stealing money digitally, whatever it may be. And small businesses say, hey, well, that's not going to happen to us. Well, listen, if it's happening to huge companies, don't you think there are smaller players out there who are going to go after people with less security? And so depending on your industry, this could be a number of different things, but your agent should be prepared to discuss any recommendations based on trends that they are seeing in the industry, just to at the very least put them in front of you. And I cannot encourage you enough to not see this part of the meeting as them trying to sell you something you don't need, as much as it should be them trying to educate you on something you don't have. And the last piece of your annual insurance review is going to be your renewal preparation. At this point in time, once you've gone through your current policy, any changes that need to be made, and any recommendations from your agent, it's time to discuss what the process is going to be when we get closer to your renewal. So as we get 3 to 1 month out from your renewal, what is your agent going to be doing to make sure that you get the most competitive offer and that you have the right program put together? And that should look like, hey, here are the changes. Here's exactly what your renewal program is going to look like. And here's how we plan about going. Here's how we plan on going about the process. For example, with us, most often that looks like I'm going to submit the renewal change. I'm going to submit the policy changes for your renewal to the carrier that you're with today. And once they see that, they can adjust the renewal to reflect them. As soon as we get the renewal back from them, and don't let your agent fool you, this should be 30 to 60 days before renewal, we will assess how the renewal looks to your expiring premium and determine the next steps, which should be one of two things. If the renewal is competitive, if it's not a huge increase, if they are still going to be the best option compared to last year, then by all means, we are going to stick with them. It makes no sense to jump around just to jump. However, if your agent believes that comparatively speaking to your peers, your program isn't competitive, they should still be going out and looking at a market analysis for you. The other hand is if your renewal comes back from the carrier, which we're seeing a lot now is your renewal comes back and it's a big increase. What's your agent's plan when that happens? What is their plan to leverage the existing carrier and go out to the market and find you alternative options? Okay. So those are the key components of what this meeting should look like. And the last and absolutely most important part of your annual insurance review is the follow-up. It does no good for you or for your agent if you sit down, take an hour of your time, go through any changes, recommendations, preparing for the renewal, and they don't follow up on what you discussed. Meaning, they don't reach out to the carrier with the changes. They don't get back to you with alternate quotes or alternate ideas or anything that you discussed. And if they don't follow through with the renewal as you discussed in that meeting, then the whole entire thing was a waste of time for everybody. I speak with some businesses who say, hey, I sat down and had my annual review with them, but then a month later, they sent me just an email with a PDF packet for us to fill out of any changes we may need to make. What was the point of sitting down in the first place if that's the case? So I cannot stress enough how important the follow-up is. And if I'm a business owner, what I want to see from the agent is following our meeting, I want a detailed list of what we discussed, any changes that may need to be made or anything we're considering. And then I want to see the follow-up from them from there. Hey, here's the updated policy showing the changes we made. Here are the quotes for the additional coverages we discussed. Whatever it may be. If they don't follow up, it is not worth the time, and ultimately you're not getting your money's worth out of your insurance every year. Remember, of the premium you pay every month, every year, part of that goes to your agent. What are they doing to earn it? This is the best chance for them to do it if they're not doing it any other ways throughout the year, such as bringing risk management ideas, safety, training, etc. Okay? So keep this in mind. Next year, as you continue to gather, or head towards your renewal, keep in mind the importance of these annual insurance reviews. And I would challenge you this. If you get to be 7, 8, 9 months out from or after your renewal, 3, 4 months out before your next renewal, and you haven't heard from your agent, reach out to them and tell them, why have we not sat down to do an annual insurance review? And see what their response is. 9 times out of 10, they're going to jump at the opportunity. They're going to come in and discuss with you because they're going to be concerned that you're upset. But then, when they do come in, pay attention to how well prepared they are. See if it's something that they do regularly, if they're qualified to run one of these meetings and help you in this manner. If they're not, it is time for you to find another agent who is willing to do this on an annual basis. Regardless of if you ever have any changes during one of these meetings, it is something that needs to be done every single year. That's all for today. Be sure to like and subscribe and continue to check out our content moving forward.